Hello and welcome to another Arkeys video, and this time we're doing something different. And the reason for that is that I have been struggling with this week's Daily Race C at Watkins Glen in the Group 3 cars. And the main reason for that is that I'm not really good at the Group 3 cars. But the biggest reason is that I am on a controller and I've really been struggling with the tire wear. And then the thought occurred to me, maybe my tire wear isn't as bad in VR, and I just had to test it out. And just to get all the excuses out of the way, this video is not about brilliant race pace or anything. I am making plenty of mistakes, but on the other hand, I'm good at being consistently inconsistent, so I can compare myself with myself in VR and in flat screen. So let's get straight to it. So I have set up a custom race, same settings as Daily Race C, 6 times tire wear, 2 times fuel, 12 laps, only hard tires, and I've only put in one opponent so I can just concentrate on driving. And I will do my best to be nice to the tires, both in flat screen and in VR. And as we come up the hill, I can already tell you that the first lap was full of mistakes, so we are jumping to the end of the second lap, where I start to get into a rhythm. I had been doing some warm-up, I had been doing time trial in flat screen earlier, so I should be ready for this. We are staying on board because this turned out to be my fastest lap in this race. Not a fast lap in general, but the fastest lap in this race. And as far as tire wear goes, I can tell you that when I tried this online, I managed to burn down that front left tire right down to the ground in the Supra because of being under pressure from opponents. And by the end of the race, I was basically a sitting duck, lost all pace and just had to crawl around the track. And I know that a lot of you guys on the controller have been experiencing some of the same issues. While trying this, I am not doing as much aggressive downshifting as you can do in the time trial. I will try to be nice. I'm doing some downshifting to get the car turned in without turning too much on that analog stick. You basically have no feel of what you are doing. So I try to make a mix of some downshifting, but not too much. I'm not sure if it's the perfect way, but I'm just doing my best to not kill the tires. Let's just say it like that. A bit of a slide coming around that corner. Let's see if we can get the final 2 corners sort of right. I'm getting close to an apex, and this one, always a tricky one for me. Make sure to dive in towards the apex. There's some camber on that corner that can help you out, and we come towards the line and we just squeeze below 147. So nothing amazing, but apparently that was the best I could do in this one, because after that it just started going downhill. I missed this corner big time. That was just a brain fade, I think. And I also picked up a penalty. When I think about it, I think I got subconsciously distracted by having the sector times on the head-up display. I think it made me push more and more on more and more worn tires. You can see I missed the final corner. And now I am really starting to struggle with the tires, so hitting the wall this time. And as we jump to the final lap, I really have to crawl around this long, tricky uphill right-hand corner. That one is tricky also with fresh tires, but we make it to the end of the race, crawl across the finish line, and we are looking at a finishing time at 21:40.6. Nothing amazing, I am well aware of that, but we have something to compare with, and that is what my tires looked like at the end of this one. So we are jumping in the VR headset, and I'm doing some warm-up. Before I did the flat screen run, I had already been doing some time trial and managed to get my qualifying time down to a 1:46.005, so almost bringing into the 1:45s. And I just wanted to at least get below a 47 in the VR headset before starting the race. I am taking some time to transition from one thing to another, and I will just have to settle with a 46.8, and we are getting ready to start the VR run. Same settings as before, still only one opponent to keep the distraction level at a minimum. And now we are in race conditions, so I've got cold tires and a full tank of fuel, and I'm just being really cautious into turn 1. And my first lap in VR in the race was quite horrible. I was actually slower than the AI car, and that says a lot. But after a lap or two, it started to get better, and I started to cut off some time. I'm slowly working my way down into the 47s, and as we are about to finish lap 4 and start lap 5, we are staying on board because this was my best lap in this race. And as we stay on board, I can talk about what really feels different when doing it in VR. First of all, it's all 3D, so you can see the depth of the corners, and you can also look further into the corners. And then you've got the steering wheel in front of you. Even though you are on a controller, you still can see how much steering input you are putting in according to the game. And it really helped me to just ease off a bit when coming through these long corners. When you are on flat screen, you just, even though you try to avoid it, tend to squeeze the analog stick to either side way too much. Here I've got that constant reminder right in front of me, which is the virtual hands on the virtual steering wheel telling me when I'm pushing too hard. You can see sometimes I am going a bit above 90 degrees, and that basically, as far as I've heard, I've never tried a wheel, but that is the key to lower the tire wear, is to minimize the steering angle in the corners. Make sure you hit the corner at the right speed, so you don't have to overturn and try to turn the car more than necessary coming through the corner. And I really try to have a look at that steering wheel in front of me and see if I could somehow make sure I didn't turn too much coming through the corners. We are about to finish this lap, and it is just above going into the 46s, so almost the same as the best lap in the flat screen race. And here on lap 10, I actually got a purple sector, which means I have been doing turn 1 wrong all the laps before, since I can do it better on fairly worn tires and also on lap 11. So that just says maybe I'm starting to get a bit more warmed up and get used to the VR. But we are just staying on board. Unfortunately here I lose the rear and I slide off the track, so I pick up a penalty. Not a big one, and I just have to live with that one. It didn't gain me any time, and there's no penalty gates in this custom race. So we are about to cross the line, and let's have a look at the finishing time in this race. It's actually a bit quicker. It's a good 1.5 seconds quicker, and my fastest lap was almost the same, and my front left tire is not nearly as dead as in the flat screen run. So that makes you think maybe it's possible to somehow bring some of those things into racing flat screen. I'm not really into racing online in VR. I find it far too scary still, but if I can somehow memorize what I'm doing in the corners and transfer that to the flat screen, that might help. And I hope you found this video either entertaining or maybe even somehow useful. And with that, I am ending this one, wishing you all a happy Easter to those of you who are into that kind of thing, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.